Austin. I'd like to thank you for allowing us into your homes for this 37th episode of Season 3 of Esoteric Science Roundtable. And as you can see, I have guest Jeff Contreras.
Hi, Austin.
Not having a show this week, not having a show next week.
It's just the way it happened.
A little courtesy.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You know how it goes. Yeah,
Props to you.
Oh, no problem. You know how that works. Do each other a little favor from time to time, I guess. Okay, so we're going to be speaking about Signpost today, and a couple of the signposts we're going to be speaking about. In particular, let's see what we got here. Let me make sure we've got mic action as well. So let's see. So as far as some of the signposts we're going to be considering, first of all, we're going to get into some updates with Access Television, some of the things that have been transpiring recently, and we want to show a little footage from a Telecom meeting that took place this past Tuesday, and a particular person that brought up some interesting points that I think are worthy of consideration. And thanks for bringing the tape, Jeff.
No problem. But wait, sorry, I really would like to set up the tape a little bit first. And just because I know there hasn't been I think Only Common Sense was one of the only live shows this week because of the mini class.
Right.
And so perhaps you viewers out there might not know exactly what's going on or what's been happening this week. A lot of the producers got together on Tuesday, and we actually selected and elected or whatever a producers advisory committee. And it's a 9-member committee.
Chosen by the producers.
Yes, it was chosen by the other producers. Stefan Ray was selected the representative, and also on the committee are Pam Thompson, and both of those producers are with Democracy Now! Also Chris Ritter from the Trailer Park Show, myself, Alex Jones, Mike Hansen, Gary Johnson from Live and Let Live, and also Smash the State, and also Kelly Batty, who's a new producer, and she will be having a show, Words of Peace, I believe, that's going to be airing this next season, and also David Kinski from The Beautiful Losers. So these are be the 9 members of the Producer Advisory Committee. Now, the Producer Advisory Committee doesn't have a vote or anything like that, and it's basically was formed to help ensure that the interest of the Austin Access producers are heard, and that's basically it. Even though Stefan is our representative and he will be attending basically all the board meetings or someone from the advisory committee, we won't have any type of vote or anything, any type of, power. Although, the power that we can put on is always that we're a group of producers who have access to media, and, really the power lies with you, the viewers out there. So that's where the real power is. So, that being said, after that, there was a meeting on Wednesday, and these meetings are televised, folks, and I really encourage you all to just kind of pay attention to when they're happening, because you can find...
Tuesday's Telecom meeting, the 25th?
Was it Tuesday? I thought it was Wednesday.
Oh,
There
my
was
bad, my bad.
There was a Telecom...
It was the 25th.
Yeah, the Telecom meeting was on Wednesday, and this is where this clip comes from. And within this clip, you will hear quite a bit, but what you won't hear is that some of the producers are actually have started legal proceedings in order to try to get the vast majority or the bulk of the material in written documentation of what's actually being discussed about the switching around or the image enhancement that the board at Access has been discussing since basically last October. And just to go ahead and briefly read the press release that was sent out by Stefan Ray, it states, producers at Austin Community Television who oppose the ACTV Board of Directors' moves to limit free speech and expand commercialism on Austin's public access television channels 10, 11, and 16 are taking their fight to court. Today, attorney Steve Gibbons, on behalf of 6 ACTV producers, filed a petition in Travis County District Court in order to depose and subpoena records from 5 ACTV board members and ACTV Executive Director John Villarreal. A hearing has been set for September the 21st at 2 p.m. at the Travis County Courthouse. On July 22nd, ACTV board members and executive management announced a reorganization of the channels that would effectively limit free speech programming to one channel, Channel 10, which the board says will be called Free TV. Austin's free speech and non-commercial public access television channels are threatened by the board's channel reorganization, said Stefan Ray, ACTV producer for the program Democracy Now! Producers taking this legal step represent both ends of the political spectrum, including Ray on the progressive side and producer George Woolley, host of Live Chat, on the conservative side. Alex Jones is also one of the petitioners. The board's limits on free speech go against the charter of ACTV, said Jones, and by that I mean the original documents that established public access television in Austin 31 years ago. The petition cites potential violations of the Time Warner franchise agreement, the City of Austin contract with ACTV, and ACTV's own bylaws. Now, also, one other thing I want to mention before we show the clip from this last Tuesday's meeting is that basically it came out in the last week or so that the president of the board of directors at ACTV, Ron Frank, who is a motivational speaker, something like that, along the same lines as, the Tony Robbins and stuff like that. He has his own website, it's ronfrank.com, and on his website, one of his most highly touted sponsors is Time Warner. He actually did some work with Time Warner in 2002, and let's see, I actually have a comment from Frank about this. Let's see. This was an email from George that he sent to Ron Frank, asking Ron Frank to step down from the board of directors because of a possible, or really what looks like to be, a conflict of interest. It states, I emailed Ron Frank asking him to step down from the ACTV board. He responded to my email and asked that I post it on the producers forum, so here it is. And then here's the original post. How can you sit on the ACTV board when you're still are working for Time Warner Inc. with a question mark? I think you should immediately step down, citing your obvious conflict of interest. How dare you? And actually, I'm sorry, this is from Troy Davis, not from George. His response was, Ron Frank's response was, I did a small amount of diversity and team training for Time Warner back in 2002 and have no business with them since. He goes on and on and on and on, but really, that's the most important thing I wanted to read there, and because the rest of it, he goes on to say, just because I'm a subscriber of Time Warner, does that constitute a conflict of interest? And I think he really tries to deflect the issue here. On his website, he has what was it called? Something menu? It was, instead of having like a list of services or the things that he offers, he called it, man, I forget. It was
like an opportunity menu.
Something like that, yeah. But anyway, he had a menu there basically where he shows what he charged. And, I'm not doing any type of advertising for Ron Frank. This is not a commercial for him by any stretch of the imagination. But needless to say, the cheapest service he offered was a 70-minute motivational speech for $10,000. Now, if he did some diversity and team training for Time Warner, I'm sure it took more than an hour. It was probably a full day's workshop, which he lists on his website for $17,500. Now, perhaps, that's just chump change to this guy, and he's raking it hand over fist, and he's getting this from so many other businesses around, not only the Austin area, but around the United States. But if so, none of these other people have such a high priority on his sponsors as Time Warner. Time Warner is the first person that mentions Ron Frank. They loved having him there. They said they can't wait to work with him again. Now that, folks, is to me an obvious conflict of interest. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm just a chump, living, on the down low. But I mean, $17,500 to me, that's probably more than I make a year. It probably is. I mean, I get by with all right with that. I don't need much more than that. But still, the point is conflict of interest. Now it turns out that one of the other board members, Jonathan Clark, may also have potential conflicts of interest. And I didn't know about a lot of this stuff until I saw the meeting on Tuesday.
No, it wasn't.
I'm sorry, you
You're
got me
right.
confused now. And on Wednesday, and actually we're going to show a clip of the woman who brought up this information, and I think it's about 6 or 9 minute clip of this, and then we'll come back and talk about it some more.
It seems as if Time Warner may be using the righteous goals and aspirations of some of our best citizens to further its profit margin and silence the dissenting voice of public access television. Jonathan Clark and Thurston Bilal, thank you, represent Teach One Entertainment and are co-creators of the character Thirsty the Elephant. Thirsty represents the best of children's educational programming and is the brainchild of Clark. Thirsty came to life when Clark, through his Teach One Entertainment Company, began his collaborative venture with the Communicating Common Ground, CCG, partnership at Houston-Tillotson College in Austin. The partnership is a cooperative project of 4 organizations: the National Communication Association, Campus Compact, Southern Poverty Law Center, and the American Association for Higher Education. There are 15 of these partnerships around the country with more than 50 projects underway. Each local partnership is under the direction of a faculty member. At Houston-Tillotson, that is Datine Bowers, Professor of Communication. CCG's funding comes from, among others, Campus Compact, one of its 4 partners. According to the Campus Compact website, they received a grant from WorldCom for $5 million to implement educational technology projects. On December 8, 2003, staff reporter Jeff Contreras of the Washington Business Journal reported that WorldCom has a multi-million-dollar partnership with Time Warner. So we can see a relationship where funds from Time Warner have been used to support the Communicating Common Ground program at Houston-Tillotson College. Most of the well-meaning players in CCG do not even know this. So far, all I've talked about is the projects at Houston-Tillotson College. What does this have to do with ACTV? Well, Jonathan Clark, in addition to working with the Communicating Common Ground project at Houston-Tillotson, is also on the ACTV board of directors. Mr. Clark developed the Black Music website for Warner Brothers, a division of Time Warner. According to the minutes of the June 29, 2004 board meeting, ACTV board meeting, Jonathan Clark had crafted the image enhancement proposal. This proposal would allow for a channel that would feature child-safe content restricted programming that would limit free speech. And at the April 15, 2004 board meeting, the board took action to, quote, set aside rules that could block the board's efforts to launch the new image enhancement plan, end quote. In addition to this, Datine Bowers hosts the Common Ground show on ACTV. She is directing the Communicating Common Ground program at Houston-Tillotson College. We can't question Jonathan Clark's or Datine Bowers' attempts to do everything possible to promote the fruits of their life work. The programs they have created reflect all that is good about humanity. But because the funding for the Houston-Tillotson program is ultimately coming from Time Warner, partially, there is a danger that they are in the middle of a corporate takeover that is using them to begin taking over public access television in Austin.
Yes, that's it. No, that's totally not true.
Then where can we look for answers? We can start with Ron Frank. Ron Frank, the president of ACTV Board of Directors, is a business consultant and motivational speaker. His most prestigious client is Time Warner, and he receives $10,000 for a 70-minute presentation. On June 8, 2004, ACTV board meeting minutes state a motion based on an email from Ron Frank to, quote, amend the bylaws regarding board member ability to be paid for contracted services to ACTV, end quote. The motion passed unanimously. Additionally, one of the goals of the Communicating Common Ground program includes, quote, the creation of communities in which hate, Hate speech and hate crimes do not exist, end quote. What could be objectionable about these noble goals? Of course, these goals in themselves are what all thinking and feeling people pray for and strive for. But think about this. What better way for Time Warner to acquire more assets? First, fund a program which uses the good intentions, creative goals, and career aspirations of good people to craft a vehicle for its own purposes. What are those purposes? To infiltrate community television and create censoring rules under the guise of fighting hate speech. To use those same rules to censor political programming which exposes the corporate corruption of outfits such as Time Warner. And finally, to acquire those programming airwaves for itself. Thank you.
Matthew Clayton.
Give a little bit more insight into what you were just chatting about.
You know, in the 3 or 4 weeks since this has really become a topic or an issue here, you know, down at the studios,
Right.
I don't think that anybody has put it, you know, so eloquently, has stated it so succinctly. You know, I've talked to Jonathan Clark. I don't think that he is an evil guy, that he's doing this maliciously, that his intent is to bring down Access Television. I honestly believe that.
I don't even feel that about Ron Franks either, from a little brief.
Right.
You know,
You know,
exchange that
I
I've
don't
had
think
with
that
him.
that's I don't believe that these are these people's intentions. I think, though, that there are larger players here. There's other, you know, people working, operating behind the scenes that are manipulating the situations in order for them for Time Warner to come out very favorably along this process. You know, I did not know, you know, that Jonathan Clark was indirectly getting funded by the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Morris Dees, our good buddy, he's
I
the one
mean-
that tries to manipulate the gun control and
Not only gun control, but these
he's against
people,
militias, so-called.
I mean, they're like, basically, if y'all remember my show from a few weeks back, you know, we had the Zionist and the Fundamentalist. Well, these people are basically the same, they're like the crossover group. They don't consider themselves Zionists, they don't consider themselves completely fundamentalist. What their focus is to attack what they call hate speech and any type of hate crimes. But the insidious thing about that is that it's what they start to label hate crimes and hate speech. And basically they're against any type of patriots or anybody that talks out against the government or has anything adverse to say about the government. They at the Southern Poverty Law Center believe that foments hate, which I feel that's not the truth. I think there should never be a topic that is off the table for discussion. No matter how vile it is, even the Holocaust, you should be able to talk about something, you should be able to debate issues, because that's what a free society is all about.
I agree with you, man. That's part of my frustration with this thing lately.
I mean, so this, not only is Time Warner basically funneling money into the lifeblood or the life's work of Jonathan Clark, but they're also giving what I feel to be a substantial amount of money to Ron Frank, two of the ACTV board members. And like I said, you know, even if they have the best intentions of Access at heart, they've got a relationship now with Time Warner, and I honestly feel that Time Warner does not have the best intentions of Access at heart. So that, to me, it seems like an obvious conflict of
I
interest.
couldn't be on the board being your girlfriend.
Exactly, and I mean, so there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, because the legal action that's taking place by some of the Austin producers here is an attempt basically to make or to have the board of directors produce more information, more documentation on what's going on here. If you watch that Telecom meeting on Wednesday, you get the feeling that even the city council members or the people at the telecommunications meeting have no idea what's going on. And when they learned that the reconfiguration of the channels and making Channel 16 the EATV could make the city liable for content, you could see the look in their faces. They were not happy when they heard or when they realized this. And they knew that, you know, something is not right here. And I don't know how much thought the board has given into this or not. But then towards the end there, Lewis Myers, you know,
That's the guy from AMN.
right, the guy who was
saw it
basically
out.
had been running AMN, you know, throughout its duration.
Well, to the tail end.
Well, okay, the tail end here, you know, and you know, if his motivation is just to save the archives of AMN, you know, that's great. I'm all for that. There's tons of music videos there. There's tons of stuff that I would like to see preserved.
Especially local music, Texas
exactly,
music.
Texas music. That's what it's really all about. But when he starts to say, you know, why don't we just make Channel 15 the EA channel?
Or 16 rather, right?
No,
Or
15.
Sorry,
He
15,
says
you said that.
since nothing's going to be on 15, why don't we just make Channel 15 the EA channel? Now, right off the top of my head, I thought to myself, you know, that doesn't sound like such a bad idea, until I gave it a little bit more thought. Now, the way my thought process went was basically, if this was such a good idea, how come they didn't suggest this right off the bat? They knew something was going to happen with Channel 15, but that wasn't their intention to make Channel 15 the EA channel. It was their intention to let Austin Music Partners
Right.
come in and
have
then
a-
perhaps partner with the defunct AMN and or ACTV.
But have a definite for-profit entity come in to
on
take
that
over.
on that channel, Channel 15, which is
Right.
called a hybrid channel. It's not a PEG channel like channels 10, 11, and 16. A PEG channel is basically the
Open.
programs.
It's an open.
Yes, the programs that come out on the PEG channels are basically the producers are responsible for all the content. On the hybrid channel, though, that's not the case, and the city is responsible for the content that shows because technically the city owns Channel 15. Now, I saw nothing wrong with this idea at first, except that, like I said, it should have been suggested a long time ago. When AMN knew that they were going to be defunct, you know, that's when they should have said, well, here, let's think of ways to save Channel 15 or do something with Channel 15 besides bringing in a Time Warner partnership. So now, I don't know, I'm kind of leery about this idea, and I know a lot more things need to be talked about and a lot more things need to be discussed. I think there are certain things that we could do. I mean, we don't need to let Channel 15 die. You know what
No,
I
I would
mean?
hope not.
There's no reason to let Channel 15 die. I mean, if worse comes to worse, you know, make Channel 15 an access channel that's music, just music programs only, like they're doing with Channel 11. Channel 11 is mostly spiritual programming. Well, make Channel 15 an access channel that's only music-related programming,
But
and then
producer
edit
responsible.
out the commercialism aspects that AMN had brought in. It's not, you don't need to change access to make it more like AMN. You need to change the dead AMN content to bring that content in line with the ACTV content. That way, the producers stay liable, the content stays, we still have the vault, the majority of content, and you have a Channel 15 that's basically the AMN channel still, because nothing but basically locally produced music shows are going to be shown on that channel.
That's how it should have been from the get-go, really, as far as I'm concerned. But one thing about the Telecom meeting that I did notice at the very tail end that I did catch when it was being broadcast live, the council member Raul Alvarez, you know, he was really frustrated with the fact there's going to be a whole nother Telecom meeting, which I'm almost positive it's the 31st.
Right,
I don't know what
Tuesday.
time.
I think it's at 3 o'clock.
That sounds about right. And so there'll be a whole nother opportunity for them to rehash all these issues. And again, his frustration was that they don't really have anything substantial to offer up. They really are having these meetings over and over again without having anything firm, anything decisive laid out that we can fall back on. And that's kind of the idea of the lawsuit, to force the hand of the board members or whoever is a party to this so that we can see exactly in some kind of black and white what exactly some of these ideas are. And that's really yet to be covered, even in the thumbnail sketch in any of these previous meetings, and it's just been an exercise in futility and frustration that we keep having these meetings, getting people fired up, you know, and there's no real substance that anybody's offering up. It's just, oh, potential plans, enhancement, oversight, all these terms that keep coming up that don't really have anything definite behind them.
However, I know there has been a glut of meetings here in the past month. However, I commend the ACTV board for scheduling more meetings, for recognizing and realizing that this is something that the producers are very concerned about. I mean, so kudos and applause to you, ACTV board, for doing that. Especially...
Well, let's mention also the meeting since we're on it. We should
Okay,
give them
yeah,
props.
definitely.
They're going to have another televised meeting, I guess similar to the previous meeting where it was a producers meeting, but the producers weren't actually allowed in, and it was televised, and people were allowed to either write in a question or phone in and offer up questions. And so that's going to be Monday the 30th at 1 p.m. on Channel 16.
So it will be televised. It's going to be a live meeting. I think they're going to be out of the main studio, and that's this Monday.
So that's here at 1143 Northwestern of the ACTV studios that'll be
So make sure you tune in because, like I said, even if you're not at home, set your VCRs to watch it because a lot of stuff is happening. A lot of actually, the important part that's going on right now is that the terms and phrases are starting to be defined. Whereas they used to say, well, there's nothing in concrete, there's nothing in writing, it's all very vague, it's cloudy. Well, we're about to, you know, lift the veil, we're about to push the fog out of the way. We need to start defining these terms, defining these phrases. We need to find out what exactly image enhancement is all about.
Actually, they do have something out in the hallway where they do define enhancement.
And they are, and you see, that has started to come about because of this vagueness, because we don't know what the hell is going on. And like I said, you know, I honestly don't feel that the board is malicious in their intent, but I think that they could be duped into making changes that will bring about the downfall of ACTV. And I know at least 4 of the board members that I talked to do not want that to happen. I know there's conflicting reports about, you know, the productivity of the dinner that we had at El Azteca after the producer advisory committee meeting. But I think it was. I think it was very productive. I think, I mean, at least it was for me to sit down and talk to some of the board members to get an idea of where they're coming from so I can perhaps gauge their motivation. And I sat next to Jonathan Clark. And
I give him really credit for that, meeting after the fact in the restaurants to continue the dialogue. That's going above and beyond the call. So I mean,
and so I do honestly believe there are board members that do want, you know, want what the producers want. They just didn't know what the producers want. They do want the contract to be extended with ACTV. None of the, you know, John Villarreal, you know, who's not. I believe he's actual board member. I think he's just, you know, he sits with the board a lot because he's the executive director here. He does not want ACTV to fold. I can guarantee you that.
Well, that's his livelihood.
Exactly. I mean, so what if he got another city job? Any other city job he got would not be as good as a job here. And I know he probably thinks his job isn't that great for the past couple of months.
Right.
But he obviously loves his job. He's been doing it, you know, for the amount of time that he's been doing it. I don't see him, you know, stumping or running for any type of political office or anything like that. He seems like he's where he wants to be, and I don't think he wants to see access come to an end. I honestly don't.
I don't get that sensation either from those folks, but I do get this sensation or impression that they are trying to get a little bit more than they've gotten, because I do know, like, they haven't gotten raises in a long time, allegedly, supposedly, and things of that nature. So that might be sticking in their craw a bit, in the sense that, you know, they feel they're more deserving for all the hard work that they do put in to make this thing fly. And so that's understandable, but I don't know. Again, I think it's more, that should be more like a community service kind of mentality. Granted, yeah, you're making a salary, you got to put bread on the table, but I don't know. I think that's one of those things like doing work with, you know, homeless kids or something like that, where people don't make a lot of money. It's just a calling for them.
Exactly.
And if this isn't some sort of a calling for them, then they're probably in it for the wrong reasons, and they need to consider probably maybe a career change, possibly. You know.
That's a very good point.
Okay, so we're gonna lay some more points out. We're gonna grab some calls. What's the?
Why don't we get some calls for a little bit and see how the calls are going, and then if the calls aren't that, then we'll talk some more. How's that?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Let's see here. Line 3, you're on the air.
Hello, Jeff.
Yes.
And Corey.
Hey.
Hi, I admire you highly. But your topic says signpost. I don't want to divert off the subject too much, but my signpost, I'm going to have to put one on the front door of my house and the back door of my house, because last night I'm in my bed sleeping. I'm a single woman, and 2 IRS women brought 3 EMS and 4 cops and broke down my back door into my house because I haven't filed a return in 6 years.
Oh,
I don't
really?
have a job. So I'd like them to fix my door, but they won't.
They
But
just,
that's
they
my
just barged down
topic.
in the middle of the night?
Yes. Yes, thank you. And with the big stick. First of all, I was in the living room, and all of a sudden, I've never had a cop. You know, they usually knock politely, but this one takes a stick and goes bang, bang, bang.
What
And,
time of the evening was this? Did you say?
Oh, it was early in the evening.
Okay.
Early. But, like dusk.
Okay.
Right.
But these women were porkers. They could hardly get through the door themselves. And
Well, the IRS is a very bloated bureaucracy institution, so I'm sorry, I divert.
but I mean, they had to, you know, they're breaking into my home. They don't
Yeah,
even
did
do
they
that
have a
when they want to
warrant?
arrest me.
Yeah, they didn't offer any kind of a warrant or anything of that nature.
No.
Okay, I think you really have some serious grounds for a lot of lawsuit activity if you want to consider those actions. I would also encourage you to get a hold of us outside of
Well,
the
I
shows.
respect you a lot. I know.
Well, how much attention do you want to bring to this? In other words, how public do you want to bring this? In other words, is what I'm
I
asking.
don't want to bring it to public at all.
Well,
I
you're
just
already
wanted
doing
to
that.
bring it to I don't know, up. I
It
just
sounds
wanted
like
to
you're
bring
very,
it up.
very frustrated. To
I
say
wanted
the
to make
least.
you mindful of it.
Well, I tell you
Because
what.
they're breaking in people's homes now.
You have every reason to be upset, and if you think about this for a couple of days, and if you want to do something about this,
I live in a good part of North Austin.
I mean, if you want to do something about this, I recommend you get in touch with me off the air. I'll put up my email address, or actually, you can even have my contact phone. But
The police were nice. I love them.
well, I'm sure they were, because
and, you know,
they didn't
Austin
have a
Police
warrant.
Department has
Right.
significantly changed for the better
And you
in the
can
last
even,
10
I mean,
years.
what about your neighborhood
In
community?
some areas.
You know, your neighborhood community.
These
That's
people don't speak to one another. They're that kind of people. I'm not that kind of people.
Well,
but
Thank you for your info, and like I said,
I
we'll put
just
up.
wanted to let you know that.
Well, I wish that you would consider more, bringing this up more, as far as another public outlet or something else more to not let this die down easily, because that's something if that happened to me, I would go through great lengths to, make it public and
I
do a lot of
guarantee you,
things.
the truth seekers would love to hear your story.
Absolutely.
Desi Andrews has
Yes.
meetings every other Sunday, and they would love to hear your story as well. We'll be putting up my email here in just a few seconds. And like I said, you think about it for a few days. If you decide, you want to do something about this, even if it's very minimal, even if it's just
And
getting
anonymously.
it out
Anonymously
to a
even.
bigger audience, an Austin audience, they will be very happy to facilitate you.
Yeah, and I think also they count on good people just not saying anything and just, this happened to me and this is terrible and just, oh, well, I hope it doesn't happen again. But rather than hope it doesn't happen again, I think that there are some things, and I'm not trying to put any responsibility on you, but I would ask that you consider how this can help other people and how you can bring this information out to help other people so this doesn't happen to other people, because there might be another nice single woman in her home in the evening by herself that's going to have this happen to her, and the more attention that's brought to it, the more we can stop that from happening. Christy is nice enough to keep reminding us that this is Texas, and a lot of people do have loaded weapons in their homes, and they don't take too kindly to people, uniformed or otherwise, barging in like that, especially IRS related. You don't have a job. There's no reason for you to file a return. And you have a lot of grounds to, pursue this legally or whatever if you're of that mind. But I think just making people aware is a good step in the right direction. if you are, outraged about this and you don't want this to happen to other people, that's one step you can consider taking.
Look, here's my phone number right here. I know people say, "Are you a dumbass for putting your telephone number on the television?" It's like,
That's
no.
a whole nother
You know
show
why?
topic.
You know why? Because usually 9 times out of 10, only good people call me. So you can give me a
Yeah.
call if you like. You can prank if you want. I don't care. I probably won't answer. That's why you got to leave a message. I'll check the message. You leave a message, then I screen the message, and then I'll call you back. All right.
But please consider the contact, because I think it's an important subject to bring up. Because another guy recently, apparently, somebody came in when he was sitting in his underwear, and he had a similar event take place here in Austin recently. I heard
With
him
the
call in.
IRS?
I don't remember what. No, it was for a speeding ticket. He had a speeding ticket, and they came to his house, and he was chilling in his boxers, and they came and took him down to the jail. He called into one of the shows. Uh-oh. Hello, telephone. But at any rate, yeah, so apparently this is a little bit more common as of late than I would like for it to be for sure. So anybody that has information like that, these things are happening to you, these things need to be made public for sure. And, we've got a public forum, so this is the kind of venue we try to use to kind of pool this information and pool resources so that we can prevent this kind of silliness from taking place.
Exactly. And I mean, that very thing that happened to you, I mean, that's the type of thing that Access was created for, in order for you to get your story out to help prevent this from happening to others.
Because KVU ain't going to cover it.
Exactly. KVU's not going to cover it. None of that stuff is going to happen. And if Access goes away, you won't have that outlet. And that's what we're really trying to do. Within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to try to get a strong commitment from all of the city council members and the mayor on how they feel about Access TV. I want to know this, and I want to know this yesterday, because, voting 3, 4 months down the line, 6 months down the line, 8 months down the line, that's all fine and dandy, but I need to know now how you feel, Austin City Council, about Access. And if you don't like it, I know then I have some time to either change your mind about Access Television or find somebody to run against you who does like Access Television. So, I mean, that's my whole motivation here. And, as soon as I find out, as soon as I start hearing from the city council members, I will definitely pass that information along. Line 2, you're on the air.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, yourself?
Yeah, hey, I'm doing good. Yeah, good job, Jeff. I saw your post on the Access Producers Yahoo group, and that's a good move. I hope you get some good feedback. I think Jackie and Raul will be receptive, hopefully.
Yes, I mean, I think there's obviously 2 or 3 council members that really do support Access Television and don't want to see anything happen to it whatsoever. We just want to find out what the other ones think as well.
Well, I guarantee Bruce McCracken is the one that doesn't.
Well,
probably.
I mean, we have many months to change his mind on that.
Yeah, hopefully. Hey, another thing, you're talking about the board members. I've been in emails back and forth with Ron Frank. That guy's a piece of work. I actually have a couple of his emails up on the Yahoo group. You can check him out. If you want to see the rest, I'll get some more. But anyway, he's if you look at the guy's website, the top thing on his website is the designated hitter for the corporate league.
Right.
This guy's a piece of work. I've basically just emailing back and forth. He's the one that's trying to censor content. I know he's spoken
He's
to
a big
producers
fan
about
of
content.
Yeah, he's a big fan of George Woolley's show.
Yeah, right. And he was basically sending the email saying that he was just concerned and wanted to talk to George Woolley and tell him that, that as a citizen, and I basically told him, like, look, when you use your authority as, ACTV board to go after somebody, you're abusing your authority.
Yes,
And
definitely.
he needs to go. That guy, like I said, if you want to see the other emails, they're fairly interesting.
This must be Troy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I really appreciate the effort that you put into this so far.
Yeah, and it's been, that was like last week, I guess. It's been going on for a week. I've got, but, also the other board members, they're wanting to put their educational programs on and get grants. That just goes, everything these people are doing is going against their charter of Access.
I mean, there are other avenues for that. I mean, if they want to take Thirsty, nationwide, go to PBS.
Exactly.
Approach KI, approach KXAN. These channels have lots of dead time, dead air. They can make room for a children's show if it's popular. They don't need to be changing the rules of Access in order to do some type of launch like that.
Right. You're absolutely right. And, we got to keep fighting this because, when the contract is up next year, they very could easily pull the rug out of access.
Definitely.
I've talked to some of the employees here. They seem very confident that nothing's going to really change. They just think it's going to be the same as normal, status quo. Everything's just going to continue as it's been continuing. And I hope that's the case, but I just cannot rest that easily on this stuff. I don't know.
No, especially after seeing the notes or the minutes of their meetings and so forth. I mean, they've been talking about it.
Well, and I've been attending a few of these things, and they'll say one thing, and then a few seconds later they'll say something completely contradictory or deny outright that they even said what they just said, maybe in other words, just, a few sentences previously. And that is ultimately frustrating to me, beyond question. But
it's totally frustrating.
Thank you very much for all the time that you spent on this. I really thank you a lot.
Yeah,
no problem. If you guys can get a hold of me from the Yahoo group, if I can do anything to help you guys out, just let me know.
I
Okay,
appreciate
wonderful.
it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's actually because of your email, Troy, that we found out that it wasn't, he wasn't getting the lowball 10,000 price because, like I said, that's just for an hour or 70-minute
presentation.
Speech, motivational speech.
And a couple of days' work equates.
In his own words, he says, Ron Frank says, he did diversity and team training. And, that's a workshop.
Right. That's not a 70-minute motivational speech.
Yeah, and, that's the high figure, 17.5, like I said. It's not chump change, at least not to me. Line 1, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, listen, I got 3 points to make.
Okay.
I really hate the government stuff that's being squeezed in on ACAC.
Uh-huh.
It's the same stuff that you see on all the mainstream channels, and I'm wondering who in the heck is doing that. Second thing is that if the IRS is going to break into my home, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, I got really quiet. If the IRS is going to break into my home, I believe in the Second Amendment.
That's a good
And
idea.
I'm not asking them. They're not invited in my house. And, they are looking for me. They found me because I haven't filed since 2002, nor have I been working. And so the third thing is Chris Athanas. We noticed that he's just got a DJ, and we haven't heard any updates. Could you please update us? And thanks for the show tonight. It's really interesting.
Sure, no problem.
Okay. Let's start with the last one first. Yeah, we had a mini studio class, so we didn't do a show last night. But as far as you're talking about if you're referring to his legal wranglings as of late, I really do not know. He had a court date a while back, and I don't think anything really negative or really,
What happened was
they
they asked him to come back, basically. They rescheduled his court date, and they said he needs to come back with counsel, with what they said competent counsel.
Oh, okay.
So basically they rescheduled his court date. And I'm sure the next time he has a live show, perhaps he'll maybe
But
give
he's
you a little...
not
really... That's basically the long and the short of it. They just rescheduled him.
Yeah, and his attitude is, he doesn't really care. He's not too concerned about the whole thing. So he's definitely not losing sleep over this at this point in time. So I don't know how seriously to take it. He's pretty confident it's going to get dismissed or something of that nature. I mean, worst case, very, very worst case scenario, we're looking at 10 years unadjudicated probation. That's my legal opinion on the matter. But at any rate, yeah, as far as the IRS thing, I commend you for your stance on the Second Amendment. That's something that we need to remember, just my opinion. We need to remember the Second Amendment is probably the most important one. The first and the second, it's hard to say. They're so interchangeable, intertwined. How can you divorce one from the next?
I think, it's not a great trend, that a couple of the callers that have called in, both of them getting hassled by the IRS, and both of them have been unemployed for a long period of time.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, that just goes to show you, the shape that our economy is in right now.
The level of desperation that's being employed.
Kicking people while they're down.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they're going to take that opportunity. And the problem with a lot of these IRS people or people from collection agencies, they feel like that's money that you owe to them. Somehow they've got it in their mind that you owe them that money, and so they're going to do everything and be Mr. Bad Guy or Miss Bad Person.
Well, it's because they get a commission off of it.
They must.
They get a commission off
some.
of what... Yeah,
Their chump change. I mean, that's...
Exactly, because they get paid by the hour, or at least any reputable debt collection agency will pay its employees by the hour, although some not so reputable ones will just pay by the commission, which is why some of them are...
Pretty cutthroat.
They're assholes, really. So,
well, as far as the government programming, I don't know how it's part of this whole takeover thing that they started incrementally putting in the government programming, like the Army news stuff, Air Force news, which, I mean, you do get a little insight into what they're scheming on. So, I mean, there's one little ray of light to it. But yeah, it's just part of the infiltration that they bring in this other programming that's not true locally generated access television.
It doesn't really bother me as long as it's not during the prime time hours. Like if it's come on during the afternoon, I'd rather watch or I'd rather not watch that than not watch the billboard. You know what I mean? It might be interesting to somebody. And not only that, it's somebody's view. Even if it's the government's view, I don't mind, as long as there's a live Austin producer that's submitting the tapes.
That's not the case.
Yeah, that's the problem. But also, these shows aren't coming on during the main primetime hours, though.
They're
you
coming
know,
like 3 in the afternoon sometimes.
yeah, but you know, that's not really considered main prime time. So, you know, as long as they don't start inching their way into basically the prime time hours, 6 to midnight, you know, then I won't have too much of a problem with it. Line 3, you're on the air.
Hey guys,
What's up?
what's going on? Haven't spoken with you in a while, Mr.
Yeah, we know this
FBU.
voice. Know the voice. Hey,
Yeah.
okay, man. Let me ask you this: what's all the 3 weeks? What's all your Ron Franks is your hero, man? Are you?
That's not me. That's another guy that's been calling, and it's a lot of people have been mistaking us as the same person.
Oh, you're kidding me. Because, man, I really broke you off a piece in a phone conversation after I heard that show. I was talking to Jeff, and I was like, I'm going to have a chat with Fag Basher when he calls up.
That's not me.
Okay, all right, man. Then you're completely off the hook,
That's the other
man.
guy. I promise you.
All right, that's
I only
cool.
speak the truth, and a man is only as good as his word.
Right on.
But some have said that my voice sounds similar to that guy, so that's why a lot of people.
Hey,
get
he
us
had me
confused.
hooked. I thought it was the guy. I thought it was you, brother.
No, that's he's an imposter. But anyways, about the collection agencies you were talking about, I've got a friend that works for a collection agency, and he tells me all kinds of stories. And sometimes when I call him during business hours, it's I don't know. You guys probably laugh at this, but in the background, sometimes you hear these bells ringing and people clapping and cheering. And I said, "What is going on in the background?" He said, "Oh, well, somebody just collected a big amount." So they cheer. They cheer. Yeah, when they make a big collection, when they fool someone into handing over their money. Of course, you know, when somebody owes, you know, a legitimate, if they legitimately owe money to for a medical bill or something, then I mean, I don't believe in being harassed, but it's an obligation that I guess that they took forth when they stepped into that doctor's office or a medical establishment. But
I
at
do
the same
agree.
time, I don't believe in being harassed. But and they assume all types of personalities and different voices and different names, which I'm all for, defending the case. But because those measures are necessary in these times, depending on the specific activity. But anyways, I had something else. I wanted to say that if ACTV or ACAC falls, it still won't thwart the progress of fact.
Oh, man. He got cut short. Hey, that was our producer. He I don't know, we're taping the show, so I guess he wouldn't. All right, hey, I appreciate that, man. And I'm glad that wasn't you, because I was throwing some, like, not the best energy your way, in all honesty, and I apologize for that.
So it was a copycat.
Yeah, okay, so it's good to know. It's good to have access to be informed. You know, we got the live venue, we know these things.
Definitely. Yeah. Line 1, you're on the air.
Well, yeah, just want to remind everybody that, you know, even if they close ACTV and change that all up and everything, if we'll just submit to the Nazis, they'll probably, you know, be pretty nice to us.
Hey,
you know, if we just obey.
That's an idea. Submit. So,
All right.
All righty.
Hey,
thanks,
Mo,
Moses.
Appreciate that,
Yeah,
man.
talk to y'all later.
All
Take care.
Take care.
Line 2, you're on the air.
Trying to get it.
He is trying to get it in there. All right. We'll let the callers cool off for a little bit, and we'll. Well, yeah. Actually, you can call my show
In 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, we'll be on live on Tuesday. Actually, there's a producer advisory committee meeting that night, and so.
5th week as well. It's the
Yeah,
5th
it's
week.
the 5th week. So, but I'm sure we'll be talking about what's going on some of the other live shows that we have, you know. But I plan on coming back with a show on symbols, and actually we were going to talk about
Weren't we, though?
symbols. We were going to talk about symbols tonight. I know I kind of co-opted Corey's show talking about access, but
That's all right.
he let me because he cares about access just as much as I do.
And when your mic goes down, it's good to have a guy hanging right shotgun
That
with you.
is true. I mean, that's one thing that I've never had happen on my show.
It's happened to me
somebody
twice in a
could
couple-
bail me out, though.
Oh,
You know what I mean? To have somebody bail you out and just, you know, like talk while you're changing batteries or
It's
anything
good to
like
have
that.
a brother in arms, so.
So with the last, 8 or so minutes that we have here, Corey, I mean, what is it that you really, want people to remember about the stuff that we talked about tonight?
I guess just to be vigilant as far as you can, and remember that the First Amendment is something that is very fragile. It constantly demands vigilance. It's the main thing. That again, that and the Second Amendment, tying this together, but we're talking more so along the lines of the First Amendment as far as free speech in this venue. But it needs constant vigilance, a constant state of battle readiness, a constant pooling of energy, efforts, and resources. And I want to commend everybody that's been taking the time to go down to the meetings and show their support. And people like Troy, for instance, that's really been doing a fine job, among other people. I don't want to just point, but he's a person that we have on the plate right now currently. But there are a lot of other people too that I'm not mentioning that are doing equally as much in their own right to keep this thing afloat, and they're attending the meetings, and they're making this their fight. And I really feel privileged to be, amongst such a fine group. I think we got a good producers board lined up.
I think so too.
And pretty well rounded,
And also, for you producers that might be out there watching and thinking, oh, I couldn't make the meeting on Tuesday. I wanted to nominate myself for the committee, or I wanted to be a part of the committee. This committee is not something that's going to last forever. It's an interim committee. As a matter of fact, we hope to have a new elections where all the producers can participate for a producer advisory committee in January. So it's just here, like in another 3 or 4 months, that these 9 people, are going to work towards, like I said, defining the vagueness that's been going on around here for the past month. And then after that, perhaps, some people won't want to run again, depending. Other people may want to, and we might have some new people come in. So there will be full producer participation in the selection of what will become, the Producer Advisory Committee. This is just an interim committee at this time.
I put my trust in this list of names here. I think it's a good enough representation that I feel at ease.
I think so too, but I think, as much as I commend Alex, for doing, because I know he's done a lot of work on research on this and stuff like this. I know, quite frankly, he didn't want to be on the committee. He doesn't want to be on the committee because he's just so busy as it is. He doesn't mind coming in and giving reports and doing all that other stuff every now and then. I just don't think he needs that on his plate as well. So, and there might be some others in the next 4 months who decide, it is, more than what I decided I want to do, or so whatever. So there probably will be a slight changing or a slight mixture in January when these things, when the new elections take place. So if you're watching this show in rotation, and you want to know what's going on about Access Television and whether it's going to survive past September of 2005, what you need to do is contact the Austin City Council and ask them how they feel about Access, because really, the fate of Access is in their hands.
Ultimately, yeah.
Yes, because this contract, the contract that the city has with Austin Television, expires in September of 2005. Now, I know the nature of bureaucracy. They're not going to wait till September to vote on whether or not Access gets a new contract. It's probably going to happen 4, maybe 5, maybe even 6 months before the contract expires, because they have to make sure that all their T's are crossed and their I's are dotted. So we have a window here of about, I don't know, 6 to 8 months to really find out, what the Austin City Council's feelings are towards Access. And like I said, to either change their minds if they don't like Access, or find people that are willing to run against these people who do favor Access, because we will need, 4 votes. So
for the council, yeah.
Yeah, 4 votes from the council in order to renew the contract. And then, if all goes as, basically if they just extend the previous contract that they had, then Access would basically be around for another 4 years.
That's right, yeah.
4 years, or depending on the length of time, it could be 6 years, depending on how much of the contract they want to just go ahead and extend. So that's what you want to have to do to make sure Access Television is around for years and years to come. And I know the employees like to think that nothing's going to change, nothing's going to happen, but I'm sure that's what the employees in Denver thought of Denver Access Television, and Houston as well. Houston closed, I think, 2 months ago, but Denver just closed last week. They shut their Access Television down. So, Access Television is a dying breed. Austin was the first city to have access television. It looks like, hopefully it will be around, even if it's the last. I kind of think New York, will keep their access television. From what I hear, New York has a pretty popular access. That there's a long waiting list.
Yeah, they've got 3 chock full of programming up there. LA has a good access thing going on over there. A lot of metaphysical programming. Not much parapolitical, but...
So, access will survive, in some way, shape, or form, but we have to make sure that it remains strong here in Austin and very viable. And to that end, all you young people out there, if y'all watch these shows on Access, this is your venue. This is something that you can come and grow into. This is something that you can start to speak and make sure that your voice is heard.
Just like we got to throw props to those cats that used to go out and hook up their car batteries way back in the early days. I can't imagine if we had to do that. I mean,
exactly.
we got it so cush compared to how it used to be.
They used to have to wait in line, basically, and then when my program was finished, I could take my battery, and then you would bring your battery up there, and then you could play your program. And basically, you could play it until your program ran out.
So your car battery ran out?
Yeah, truly first come, first serve. It was literally, the connections were on a post here where this building stands.
That's incredible, truly. But that just goes to show the dedication of people in this area and how valued free speech has been and will continue to be. And I'm confident in the cast of characters assembled in this area that, free speech and everything is important enough to them that they're going to continue to again, stay vigilant and battle ready and keep free speech well and alive and healthy in Austin. Hey, thanks, Jeff, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
I want
Corey.
to thank my producer, Chris, for commanding the helm of the Starship Esoterica. No live show for you.
Right.
Reality Expander next Thursday, 10 p.m., Channel 16.
Folks, remember, all that Access is given to you, all that is given to you, take some time out of your day next week and call the city council members and find out how they feel about Access. Thanks, Austin. I really appreciate you, and I love you very much.
Thanks, Austin. You guys have a nice evening. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.